Hey everyone, my name is Kabi. Today we're gonna watch the one-on-one battle on the map that's called Echo of Majesty. It will be the light against light mirror matchup. In the top right corner appears Rus Peak 100k. We witnessed this guy playing a week ago in the 2v2, but this time this is gonna be a duel and his opponent is Dwarf US. It is a Water League, which is, by the way, soon gonna be renamed to the Bronze League, so probably we should learn and start referring them like this, as many guys in the future gonna watch these videos and be like, what the hell is Water League? What the hell is the captain? I don't see this kind of league in my league screen. Yeah, it is gonna be the case within a week, so yeah, kinda the Bronze League. And Ruspik actually has a captain account on 3999 as well, his main account, but this one, Ruspik 100k, is particularly lower. I believe he's making what they called a stock account, so kind of making a challenge to reach the captain and open all the units, not leveling up anything. Really hard challenge, requires some kind of skill. Well, decent amount of skills if you don't rush everyone every now and then, because the majority of the players who do this just try to rush. This may also stop working somewhere in the mid of Water or so-called Bronze League, because players kinda become less clueless. They know what's happening, they can play the game, do the build orders. Speaking of which, we see both players starting off with the sawmills, then a farm in the racks. We have meta of the build orders more or less stabilized again lately. I wonder if I probably should make a guide about that, because it is quite often that people ask me, like, Kabi, where can I see the recent guide for the game? And when you are looking for the guide, you actually are looking for the build orders, because RTS is pretty much the build orders. Nobody can kinda tell you what to do to win, because for that you need some kind of deeper understanding of the strategies. And strategizing is of course also the part why I even do these videos, because we can learn from the players when we see different situations, but it is kinda reinforcement learning of the neural networks, right? Because we can't just script this. I can't just say like, hey guys, do 1, 2, 3 and you're gonna win every game. Rather than that, we have to play many games and probably watch many games and consider different situations and different decisions, evaluate if the players did wrong or right. Here we can see Ruspik going Human Monument, Paladin and the Knights to the Fast Tower of Mana, without the second production building, which can usually be the second rocks or the Sanctuary, and now the Sanctuary coming up. And the essential part for that is when you are taking your chest, you immediately level up the castle. So that's what you have to have in mind. So you don't just take the chest for fun, and if you're lazy you probably can speak one. No, it doesn't work like that, because these resources are crucial to level up. If you don't have it, you can't level up, or you can't keep your production going. He actually level up a little bit sooner, which means that he doesn't have money for the night to follow up. But, well, he actually can already make it now. Probably my timings, as I... Oh, he's actually supply blocked. He doesn't have another farm to build one more knight, so... Right. The build order is fine. No worries. So it is what we called a barter, where both players just kinda take their chest. And what's interesting here, even though dwarf wrongly put here, but still kinda means a dwarf, right? Or a gnome. There is also this word in English too. But he plays elves, that's what I mean, so he goes 2 rocks archers. And this isn't the greatest strategy against knights, obviously, because archers fail to the cavalry. But at the same time it is just 1 rocks cavalry, so there can definitely be the dangerous timings, but Dwarf US doesn't really use it, because he goes to take this mana well, he acquired both of the watchtowers, all this fancy stuff. You wanna have this, you feel comfortably when you do this, but the problem is that you're not gonna feel comfortably if you end up being in the 10th minute mark with a bunch of archers under the belt, because the archers gonna be useless and more useless as the time goes, because they are the starting units, not the late game units. He only have 6, but well, 6 is 24 food supply. It is not nothing. Well, so anyways, I wonder that here we can see the human monument, and I don't really get it why copter. Why the hell is copter? Why does he even think he might need the copter? But anyway, here starts the fight. Rusbik could have even tried to skip this chest, but he decided that knights are good enough to just roll over this army, and it seems that he's right, considering the fact that the archers are not being microed. I'm not sure if you guys are aware how does the attack cooldown work, but the thing about the attack cooldown and the micro is that the unit is permitted to only attack next time when the cooldown is expired. So that means that if you just leave your archer to stay still, she will shoot once and then she will wait until the end of the cooldown. And inside this time gap you can actually micro the archer to not to stay still during the time where she can't shoot anyway, but to move away from the target, such as the knight. So actually this concept is not new, it is just what they called hit and run, or there is the other term for that. I think they call it the kite, right? I'm just a sailor, so the kite means different thing for me, but anyway, we are not speaking about IQ foils here, I guess. So this kite does work in War Legends too, because of this, so just some players might misunderstand that kinda if I move, then archer will be moving, that it will stop, and then she will wait even longer before she can shoot. But actually you can use that time that is not being used for shooting anyway. So yeah, I'm not sure if it makes sense. It was a long explanation, but if you didn't get it, then ask in the comments. Yep, so a little fancy fox rider doing harass to the dwarfers, wood line, worker line. Still, actually, Rus Peak is not advancing on the left side of the map. Considering, well, probably he didn't do that because he saw with his Fox Rider that the army is not coming back. So he thought like, alright, you're taking the chest, but you're losing all the workers. And if the army would come back to defend, then he would be like, alright, so now I'm taking your chest. So this is why harassment is a great stuff in strategies. It is not that strong in particularly War Legends, because we have wall-ins, we have strong towers, stuff like that, and usually fast units don't do a lot of damage to the buildings, as cavalry has a penalty against the buildings. I hope you guys know that. We're gonna add it to the army section too. It's not there by now, but it's gonna be there soon. So they do twice as less damage to the buildings. This is why Fox Riders cannot just obliterate the Tower of Light Magic. This is why you can use such a tower to defend. Because if there was no such penalty, then how on earth would you even defend from Fox Riders? Fox Riders are good in this balance, by the way, so consider trying them. Not just for harass, they even do a good job in the straightforward fights. Well, not against guardsmen, of course, but against ex-masters, against obviously catapults and ballistas. Some heroes struggle against Fox Riders too, because they just do a lot of damage. Alright, so all the map comes for the Dwarf US. Some Miss Micro, some very ambitious attacking moves out of Rus Peak, and now he's back to his own base trying to defend, adding up a second factory. So this is what happens more often in the lower leagues, and actually not so often to happen in the higher leagues, is when you have to add more production facilities, because here in the Bronze League we don't have the fourth farm, so we are capped at 80 to 90 something supply depending on your farm level, but anyway it is not much, and you get supply capped very quickly. And when you get supply capped, what you need to do is to add the production facilities and start gathering the bank, the resources bank. So you need the bank to build more units, but you need more facility to be quicker at building units. So now we can see Dwarf, who is supply capped, but he only has 2 racks and a sanctuary so far, and 1 altar. And now we see Rus Peak, who has 2 racks and a sanctuary and the 2 factories and 1 second altar too, and building the second altar. So altar and 1 more is actually a good idea, because you can lose, and you probably will lose, both of the heroes in the engagement, and you will be able to build 2 heroes, summon 2 heroes at the same time. Obviously, heroes have been summoned quite long. It is usually 45 seconds, and building them at the same time is a great change to the game pace. So now here starts the fight. The poor meteorite are the Dwarf. So then it is 150 mana for nothing. If Dire Straits band was here, they would sing us the song called Mana for Nothing. There was also checks for free, if I remember correctly. Not sure what should be common here, maybe scrolls, but anyway. A princess will obviously win this trade, but Fox Rider, as you can see, does a significant amount of damage. Well, she costs like half of the gold and the same amount of wood, so it's kinda okay that she does so many damage to the princess. If we do princess tanky, then you can't stop the princess anymore. This is why we don't. So we have Eater being tanky, and for the other faction we have princess being swift. So if you wanna take the great epic hero that's being tanky, then you probably should just play the dark faction. Well, Fox Riders are also great at killing the elementals, especially if you mark with the princess. Both players have the princesses by now. Yeah. And yet another time blue player gonna lose all his stuff trying to break the enemy's defense. Now with the elemental, but still the defensive player has way too high advantage. What I do not like out of Ruth's pick here is that he was looking for the battle all the time. The greatest change when you start learning to play RTS with the coach is that your coach keep saying you, well, usually build workers at the first place, but in War Legends you don't need many workers, it's just first 2 minutes of the game, and then what they teach you to do is to not watch the engagements. So it is not a cartoon, you know. Well, now I'm watching the cartoon kinda, but when you're in game you should remember to do the stuff all the time. If you already lose units, you should be producing units at the same time. Because if you end the fight, you lose everything, you killed something, and then you go, well, whew, it ends up, let's see what I can do, but you already lost like 2 minutes of production. And if your opponent hasn't lost those 2 minutes, then probably you're already 20 or 30 supply back. And it is crucial. When the game is equal, it is what decides who wins in any RTS. So in War Legends, actually the production cycle is easy because you have the production tab, you can do everything in a couple of taps, and you don't even need to move away the camera. In the harder game like StarCraft, you probably need to even move away your screen. In StarCraft 1, you would have tried to click on every building, and still it is more important than watching the battle. So yeah, always remember to reinforce. Reinforcement is the key in any RTS. Or at least one of the keys. Of course, there are many win conditions. And strategy in War Legends is very important too. We don't have big scales. What we don't have is 80 units, and obviously we did it on purpose, because we want it to be about the strategy but also the micro, and we want the production routine not to be that harsh as in many other games, so that even weaker players, not like top 5 players of the server, could benefit from microing. Because in the big RTSs you don't even benefit from microing when you're a weak player, because just reproducing units is so important, so that you don't even need to micro if you produce units better. So anyway, Ruspik decided to take this golden idol. He decided also not to go for the enemy chest this time around, and he still dwells comfortably on his production stuff, and I feel like he could have a shot because Dwarf, I don't even know why he thought he might need, oh, probably he decided to go archers against the wind mages, but it looks to me like a totally wrong call. He goes for the human monument, so he believes he's gonna kill those wind mages with the archers and the princess. Well, if nobody else is there, then probably, but what about the bikers? What about the ballista? I feel like ballista gonna obliterate the archers way too quickly. Here comes the harassment. But you're not a dark player, you can't use the sabotage. Well, there is also the Tower of Mana, so sabotage couldn't have been used anyway. I wonder how all the map is for the dwarf, apart from the watchtowers. He does not command it to all around the watchtower. He's a fan of Dire Straits, not Bob Dylan. Though many people used to sing this song, not only Bobby. Alright, I wonder if Ruspeak is gonna fight for this elemental. Elemental is good as tank in the towers. Here the towers are not the core problem though. It seems that Ruspeak is gonna lose the princess, but he tried to bait the red army to kinda get struck by elemental. It didn't work. The other elemental goes for nothing too. Princess trying to kill the archers, not successful, but the position of this ballista is awesome. I love it. It is so far away from everything. It could have been the case though that the little fox rider would engage and the ballista immediately goes down, but it didn't happen, right? So in this particular situation, it was a great job out of ballista. All the archers went down, but Dwarf is about to win and take this elemental anyway. But what I wonder about now is, should he even take elemental this quickly? Because players usually don't use it on the higher level of play, but you can try to sneak elemental down, and sometimes if your opponent is very defensive, you can even try to take two elementals at the same time. Of course, it is always dangerous that your enemy can sneak away it from you, but here comes the map control. So nobody in War Legends actually do the good map control so far. I think even the biggest players still don't do it good enough. Well, they kinda tend to play more straightforward games, and we don't have a lot of maps like this where there are two-way rounds, but sometimes we still see these scenarios when one goes by the right side, another on the left side, and it just comes down to the base trade. I'm not the biggest fan of the games like this, and I don't film them too often because I just feel betrayed when there is a fight. I wanna know who's come on top, and then someone just suddenly, randomly kills the building faster. And I feel like just the game didn't end the proper way because they didn't fight each other. Imagine Lord of the Rings when Gandalf and Sauron just suddenly says like, hey, let's not fight anymore, let us be the friends. And we are being men. We just watched the 3 films. We don't want you to be friends. We want to see the final engagement. Orcs sieging the tower being like, hey guys, we are tired. We don't want this anymore, let's have a couple of tea. Someone should introduce the orc tea. Nobody wanna know what it's made of. Interestingly, how Dwarf decided to switch to the Wind Mages with the Knights. What is interesting about this is that usually players go Wind Mages with the Guardsmen. Guardsmen do the bonus damage against the Bikers. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but the Bikers are cavalry, which means that Guardsmen do extra damage to them. As well as the Princess too, so you actually, being Dwarfus, you can deal an extra damage to everything that Ruspeak has, if you just can get your Guardsmen dealing damage. And the problem about that is that Guardsmen are way too slow, so they can't even catch up with the Princess and the Bikers. But this is why you introduce the Wind Mages to your army, because they slow everything down, and then Guardsmen can make it to their targets, and it is the point where Guardsmen are starting to shine. And even though Dwarfus has Barracks 2 and Barracks 2, he still keeps producing the Knights. He may just feel it handy that Knights are very quick, so they are roaming around the map and he's not getting out of position. I can feel it. I can feel such assumption that probably getting Knights is good enough already and you don't want to change anything, but I don't know. I personally lean to Guardsmen, and the other great thing about Guardsmen is they're producing really quickly. Their production time is very short, as well as the bombers and also aeronauts. There are units that are producing quickly in the game, so you probably need to know that, because sometimes you really need to spam anything, but you need it quick and you need it a lot. And this is when aeronauts and guardsmen shine, and bombers too. Alright, so Ruspeak being able to defend his mana well, and he also tries to capture the enemy's one. Fox Riders wanna fight though. I think that back in the day Knight was killing the Fox Rider, by the way, but not anymore. Now Fox Riders wins 1 against 1. Well, she's way more expensive, but back in the day it was just a sneaky girl that wasn't good at a straightforward fight. Now she's kinda so-so. She's somewhat good in a straightforward fight. But sneaking in the forest is the biggest part of this unit, of course. It is a funny story, by the way, that Fox Rider, when someone strikes her, tries to strike her when he's in the woods, they miss. So she can evade the arrows when being in the forest. But the funny part is that we never planned that. It is just came to us naturally, because they use that part of the code that is used in Art of War for the resistance units that can hide in the forest, and they can evade the shoots too, so enemies sometimes miss against them. And so the Fox Rider just use the same code, and someday we consider this and say like, well, why not? Let's leave it like this. So this is how Fox Riders received something that hasn't been planned for them. It can be annoying sometimes when you're trying to finish off the Fox Riders with, let's say, the Venom Spitter, but Fox Rider is running in the woods, so Venom Spitter can miss to the moving target, then also he can miss because she's in the woods, and then the Venom Spitter ends up almost never hitting the Fox Rider. But, well, c'est la vie, as the Frenchmen say. This elemental go to the Ruspik's name once again, but he decided not to follow one. I wonder that Ruspik decided to also lean to the knights, so we have a lot of knights. I feel like the guys play kinda an outdated meta. We used to see the games like this half a year ago. A lot of knights, bikers, also usually helicopters used to be the case for this kind of scenarios. Now players more lean to the wind mages, snipers, bikers still in meta, but they're not that overpowered anymore. So kinda more Fox Riders are good. But here we still can see a lot of knights. Ruspik tries to sneak away his Fox Rider. Well, Wind Mage cannot miss. You can run away out of the wind pressure, the wind gust, you may also call this. It's rather a gust, I guess. So you can run away, but if you didn't run away, it never misses. Well, the funny part is the gold is soon to be mined out. Ruspik apparently used more Golden Rush scrolls. This is why he mined out his gold quicker, but he has that 100 in the bank. So he's fine about that. And here Dwarf Us does not the greatest trade, because he wasn't there with all of his army, but he reinforced kinda on time, and if he micros this knight good now, then nobody gonna escape. It seems that he doesn't really micro, so knights just randomly auto attack. Yeah, this wasn't the greatest fight for Ruspik, but it is kinda okay, because the red player also lost the princess. By the way, did you guys notice that most of the time both of the players only have the princess? They don't even build the other one. So they lean to the mobile army setup. Yeah, you really wanna leave the worker for repair in positions like this. Yeah, this is not gonna work. It is funny that worker was there all the time, but as the worker was hidden in the tower while building, he didn't even recapture this golden idol. So it would worth it to first recapture and then start to build the tower. But Ruspik obviously just ordered the tower, so the worker immediately started working. So, yet another by the way. Did you guys, by the way, know that since some time, a couple of months ago, you can actually use hold position for the worker to repair? The only command that does not trigger the unit, the worker to repair, is the patrol. But if you lose it on, leave it on the hold position near the tower, then the worker will actually trigger to repair it, but will not be triggered to build or anything else. So you can leave the worker there in some hidden spot for, let's say, behind the tower, and use the hold position command. So we did it particularly for that, and we did patrol so that you guys can capture the chest or something else with the worker, and the worker would not be triggered to repair something. Because such a worker can turn out to be the closest to some repair. Let's say a biker in the random position. But you don't want him leaving if you want to hold it on the spot. And for this you can use the patrol command. We decided to make it a patrol command and not hold, because you usually send the worker from the base with the patrol command and not hold. So it just comes down to what the commands are being used for in the reality, you know. Yeah. The Great Fox Rider. I said a lot of good things about a Fox Rider today. Yeah. This kind of worker, you want to have it on that side. So you need to order him to cut and then hold. And then he will be unreachable for the units. Because worker can always put the position between the forest and the building. Alright, so here comes the next summoning stone. Nobody has gold anymore. The player can only rely on their banks. And my guess is that Roos Peak now should really focus on defending, but killing the princess is a great move. Yeah, he should heal the units. I'm not exactly sure about the knights, to be honest, but I'm unsure about the knights all the game long, right? Giving away the Fox Rider is not the greatest move for Roos Peak. He also about to lose a knight now. Good news is that he has a princess. I feel it like he's gonna lose all his units one after one, but well, Dwarf US is not really reinforcing. He forgot about that knight, and Roos Peak decided to actually go for this summoning stone as he sees that the enemy doesn't have a lot on here. So he reinforcing, healer is here, trying to help, princess very low, not going down, barely survives on the... Well, we don't have red HP, but there were just a couple of HP, but already going higher. And here comes the summoning stone to the Roos Peak's name. Obviously Dwarfus has to pull back, he takes his workers. I'm not sure what he's trying to do, because what he actually needs to do is to repair everything. He doesn't need to send it to attack. He doesn't even need to block it. He just needs to repair everything. So put the repair on every building you have. Well, probably his idea was... Oh, well, actually, there is an interesting mechanic, because if you trigger a passive ability of the princess, then workers suddenly starts to do the great damage. Because princess, with her mark, she marks the enemy, and everybody who attacks that enemy deal static plus damage. So workers do not benefit from the plus crit chance, because every plus crit chance is actually a multiplier. So if we have let's say a human monument aura that increases the crit chance, it doesn't actually add 20%. What does it do is that it multiplies your actual crit chance on 1.2, but as workers crit chance is 1, well, I think It doesn't make sense what I'm saying. But anyway, Worker cannot have a crit chance. But Worker can do a fixed bonus damage from the Princess ability. Well, so somehow I think it works that the Worker's additional crit chance is 0. This is why multiplayers doesn't work. So it is just in the logic, in the code, you know. But yep, Dwarfus decided to go for the bottom right idol to receive the golden income, and now they engage for this chest. Ruspik tries to randomly sneak it away with the... well, probably not try to sneak it away with the Worker, but try to build a tower, I guess. It is not gonna happen though. He's very short on money now. Trying to take at least the watchtower. Watchtower might be important if the game goes up to 1 hour length, because controlling watchtower does impact your activity. So activity is killing more units, in food, killing more buildings, in just numbers, I believe, and having more seconds of controlling anything. So watchtowers, mana wells and golden idols, everything combined. We count seconds for one player, then for the other player, and then just count percentage. So this all impacts on the activity. So you guys may trade kinda equally, not in this fight though. Kill buildings kinda equally, usually it's 1 against 1 or 0 against 0. But if one of the player just controlled one watchtower somewhere in the corner of the map, when it comes down to activity, it's gonna be on top. Yeah, but a problem here for Dwarf is that was a terrible trade. And yeah, the good micro now out of Ruspik, all of his units here on the move. Princess goes down. Red Knight should not trade here anymore. Players have to start using Hero Resurrection, I believe. A random Magic Blast is not important anymore. Getting hero with one free active is way better now. Healers also a good thing. Well, actually Dwarfus is higher on the army supply. He also has 3 barracks. I didn't even notice when he added the third one. I really strongly dislike them keep spamming the Magic Blast, to be honest. I don't really like it. Well, actually Ruspik does not have the hero, so he obviously can't use the Hero Resurrection, but Dwarfus can. But he doesn't even use his princess in the fight. One more Magic Blast. He loves his Magic Blasts, it seems. But the longer the game goes, the more the map is mined out, the more important is the Hero Resurrection. We're gonna have the tournament mode soon. We're gonna introduce the tourneys soon. And we are thinking about the tourney mode when your gold mine is very short and then you need to control the golden idols. We're not sure yet how to make it not Necromancer Rimba, but well, Hero Resurrection might be useful in such a mode too. It is what we are currently testing. In the first tourneys there are gonna be different modes, not this one. You're gonna find out soon. It is like in 2 weeks from now, if nobody goes wrong. I hope it doesn't go wrong. We are trying to be quick at introducing the new things now, because we wanna release sooner. Well, I don't really know how Ruspik can hold this. Dwarf takes every chest. Well, Ruspik just randomly keeps controlling the items on the top of the map. Is he about to send Elemental without any support? Well, probably. Dwarf decided to go and take the watchtower now. Well, to me it looks like he just had to send one knight for the chest. I mean, for the mana well. And he can't get idle with one knight, but probably it's not that important now. Well, mana well is important indeed. And now the elemental is just going to randomly die to the additional castle that Ruspik built. Players like to build this castle to repair it, to kind of tank the elementals. I personally do not like this. I still feel like it is too expensive. But I don't know, maybe sometimes it's worth it. Ruspik just tries to sneak everything he can. He can only drag this game because he doesn't have a lot of stuff to work with. Obviously, here is nothing either, but at least there were two idols. Now one idol to the red player's name. Yet another try to sneak something away. Well, probably should have been going through the forest, but one wind mage, dirty wind mage, scans everything, or rather scouts. I don't know. It seems that dwarf just tries to be as safe as he can and wait until the victory on the activity score. And I believe it's gonna work. Ruspik keeps spamming with the magic blasts. I don't know really. Sometimes you can land a meteorite. But there are two healers, or even three. Three healers. Yeah, Dwarfus has a good setup. One ballista could have been useful too. Could have made use. Just to start engaging from the far distance. I like moves like this, so you binned everything, ballista is not in the bin, so you just send ballista on the patrol or just double tap, and then you micro everything else, and enemy has to engage in this, and usually it is not a good trade when they do it. Because you meet every single unit with all of your army, and it's not in the tower's range anymore. Well, princess tries to engage. I don't like it. The princess is about to die, I think. Well, probably one wind mage is not enough. One wind mage can keep fighting though. The princess is the only stuff. Well, it was a good bite apparently. I wonder if it would be better for the guardsmen to keep fighting. Probably a couple of knights would have been down if Ruspik did. Well, the princess kills everybody. But can make it with the wind mage with the biker. Princess does the magic damage, as you obviously know. And the biker is not too vulnerable against magic. Ruspeak actually kill the princess, now kill the healers. Whatever the dwarf is about to sneak all the chests. Ruspeak at the same time stole the bottom mana well, and now he steals the top mana well. Here are the knights, but the knights can't hit air. The horses do not jump that high. Yeah, probably there's no possibility anymore for Ruspeak. He decided to tap out. He did his best to try to drag this game for the victory, but it seems that from the certain point it wasn't the case anymore. But still a good game, a lot of strategical move, a lot of things to think about in the army compositions. I'm still very unsure about this type of mass knights playing this late in the game. You guys, if you want, can let me know in the comments if you like this style and if you use this kind of style, and I'll probably come to read it. And to commentate anything else for you, I'll come back on the next Sunday. That's where we see each other. And that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.